Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate broker Millie Rosenbloom of Baird Warner, based out of Chicago, Illinois. Millie has been in the Chicago real estate industry for the last 25 plus years. She served as the president of the Chicago Association of Realtors in 2001, one of the only 3 women to serve as president in 118 years, and was also inducted into the Chicago Association of Realtors Hall of Fame in 2014. She is currently a broker with the Baird Warner Lincoln Park office, where she is number 1 in the company sales of over 2,000 agents. She is routinely quoted and featured in multiple media publications and broadcasts, including CNN and CNBC's Power Lunch segment. All right, with all that said, Millie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, Keith.
And Millie, if we could start for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
I knew I wanted to do it because I was around it as a child. My mother and father would buy, fix up, and sell real estate as a profit, so it was a natural for me to be involved in that process, and I love the idea of doing it, improving houses and seeing what can be done.
And do you think you could talk a little bit about what personal attributes, traits, or qualities you think have most contributed to the success that you've had in real estate?
My parents were an excellent role model for me. My mother was a hard worker. My father was a hard worker, but he was also talented. And I feel that those traits passed down to me. The hard work, the curiosity to learn, the knowledge, the ability to be the best at it, and the ability to implement, all of those traits, I think, made me very successful.
And do you think you could give our listeners an example of when these traits have played a role in your path towards success?
As a broker, my approach is I don't like drama. I like knowledge and success in a positive way, and that's my attitude. In fact, when I get up every morning, my mantra is, it's going to be a perfect day. And I function like that throughout the day. I try to have fun with the clients. I try to bring them value, and I try not to get caught up in the volatility and the emotions that often transactions have. And I think that's has helped me be very successful.
And Millie, I think whenever somebody builds a successful business or a career, that sometimes the road to get there is filled with a lot of bumps along the way. Can you talk a little bit about some of the adversities or trials that you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
There's been situations where a person has fallen in love with a home, or a home in particular, and after the inspection we find out that there's many problems with the home. And it could be that they found mold in the attic or water in the basement. And I'm very good at finding the solution to that and obtaining the cost to fix it and negotiating it through the whole transaction versus just saying, it's a bad house, we should walk away.
So Millie, as these obstacles, as these arise for you, what keeps you going despite these obstacles? Why don't you give up what you're driving force?
I like to meet and exceed every challenge that I'm faced with. That inspires me and drives me to be the best. I don't give up.
Excellent. And Millie, looking forward, what's your vision for your career over the next 3 to 5 years?
If I had to look back 5 years ago, I would say I never thought I'd be where I am today. I mean, I'm just growing, and I'm growing in bounds, leaps and bounds after 25 years of being in the business. So if I had the vision of 5 more years, I'm going to keep going. I have no desire to put a cap on where I'm going. I've had an incredible career, and it's been such a broad career because not only have I succeeded in volume of sales every year, but I've been active with the board. I've been president of the association, third woman, and Hall of Famer. So I'm not sure what the next 5 years is going to be, but I can tell you I'm going to have major growth.
And Millie, I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way you market yourself as a real estate professional so that you can have that continual growth?
Doing things like this radio interview, I think is important. I think any time that you can get out where the consumer can hear what you have to say and that has value, continuing to be able to be gifted enough to have this opportunity, be at social events, speaking events, use the internet, websites, all of that to market and tell about your properties, but also tell about your services.
And Millie, I think whenever the general public looks at real estate agents, they don't fully understand the value that they provide from both a buyer and a seller standpoint. What do you think the biggest misconception or myth people have about working with a real estate agent?
In 2001, when the market changed where the information about products was out and open to the public, a lot of real estate agents were intimidated by that because they thought that the consumer would not need them any longer, that they could get the information online. I thought it was the best thing that happened to our industry because it sure changed the level of performance we had to be as a realtor. We were then raised to a point where we had to give quality of service, have knowledge about the area, the schools, the product, the construction, and I think that the consumer independently now comes to us for different reasons. The negotiating, the attorney section of it, the inspection part of it, they look for us to advise them. And in the past that wasn't the case.
And Millie, let's say you get a call from a family member or friend and they're in another state and they want to sell their home. Now obviously with your experience and with your connections, you could probably easily look up an agent and do a referral, but from a general advice standpoint, what advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs?
I think every consumer out there that's thinking of buying or selling should, fortunately everything is online now, they should do a study on who does the most amount of sales, whether it's a buyer agent or a selling agent, and who knows the market and who has the most success in the sales. Interview at least 3-4 people, find out what their marketing program is, how well they know the area, how they approach. If it's listing a unit, what's their marketing plan? What's the success in succeeding? What's their percentage of sell versus ask? What's their time frame to do that? And if it's a buyer, finding out what they know about the area, the proximity to public transportation, what's the school like.
And Millie, obviously you're based in the Chicago, Illinois area, and if somebody's looking for real estate services or an agent in that general area, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
They can Google Millie Rosenbloom and all kinds of articles and contact information will come up, or they can go to my website, millierosenbloom.com.
Excellent. And Millie, obviously we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and share all your professional real estate experience with our listeners. And if you're listening and you want to learn more about Millie, you can go to her site, like she said. You can Google her name. Or below this interview, we'll have a link to her site and any other contact information we have so you can see how she can help you with your real estate needs. So with that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.